You'll listen up. If you think you've already missed the big AI wave in crypto, you might want to sit down for this one, because what I'm about to show you could literally be the next billion-dollar crossover between AI and blockchain. And no, it's not some hyped meme coin or random startup. It's Filecoin. Yeah, the same Filecoin that most people wrote off as just a storage token, except now it's quietly becoming the backbone of AI data infrastructure, and almost no one's paying attention. You see, while everyone's chasing the next shiny AI project, the real money, the smart money, is flowing into the tech that powers AI from behind the scenes, and that's exactly where Filecoin sits. Over 1,500 AI-related projects are already using decentralized storage right now, and a massive chunk of that traffic runs through Filecoin's ecosystem. It's wild. This coin is literally storing the future of artificial intelligence while the mainstream is still arguing about Dogecoin. Now, here's the thing most people don't get. AI isn't just about models and machine learning. It's about data. Data is the new oil, and AI eats it non-stop. The problem? That data has to live somewhere secure, scalable, and censorship-free. Centralized servers like Amazon or Google, they're expensive, slow, and one government order away from being locked down. That's where Filecoin flips the script. It decentralizes data, spreads it across the world, and gives ownership back to the users. That's why AI developers are starting to plug straight into it, because it's cheaper, faster, and nobody can pull the plug. And here's where the FOMO hits. The world hasn't realized it yet. Filecoin is sitting around $5 and people think it's dead. But what happens when AI startups start using it by default? When storage demand explodes because every AI model needs terabytes of training data? You think $5 is going to hold? Nah, that's when we see the next leg up. And I'm not saying this to hype you. The numbers back it up. You can literally see the demand curve bending. Network usage is climbing, active miners are returning, and data capacity keeps expanding month after month. But you wouldn't know that scrolling Twitter because no one's talking about it. Everyone's distracted by flashy AI coins with no product. Meanwhile, Filecoin's sitting on the real infrastructure that AI actually needs to run. Let me put it in perspective. Imagine if back in 2004 someone told you, hey, don't buy Facebook stock, buy Amazon Web Services instead because every app will need servers. That's exactly what's happening here. Filecoin isn't trying to be AI, it's building what AI will need to exist. And bro, when people finally connect those dots, it's gonna move fast. Because here's the brutal truth. Crypto doesn't reward the obvious, it rewards the early believers. When the world wakes up to what's actually happening under the hood, this isn't staying a single-digit coin. The question isn't if, it's when. Now, I get it. Some people still think Filecoin is old tech. They're like, didn't that project peak in 2021? Yeah, that's what everyone thought, until the team started quietly rolling out Filecoin 2.0. And that's where this story gets insane. We're talking smart contracts, compute over data, and full-on integration with decentralized AI networks. In simple terms, Filecoin's not just storing your files anymore, it's starting to process them. It's like the network grew a brain. And if you think that sounds small, think again, because the biggest choke point in AI right now isn't speed, it's storage and compute. Filecoin's tackling both. That's why major Web3 and AI projects are suddenly building on it behind the scenes. I've seen dev reports, test integrations, even AI datasets being hosted through FIL nodes. It's happening quietly, and that's exactly how every major narrative starts. But let's be real. Retail investors won't notice until it's too late. They'll FOMO in when it's already $50. The same way they slept on Solana in 2020 or Matic in 2021. You remember that. Same pattern. First silence, then a few smart whales start accumulating, then boom, new cycle hits and everyone's like, wait, how did I miss this? That's what this video's about. Catching that moment before it goes mainstream. Because right now, the setup is forming again. On-chain data shows accumulation wallets stacking fill slowly. Not chasing, not dumping, stacking. That's institutional behavior. That's the quiet phase before the headlines. And you can call it luck or timing, but those who catch narratives like this early, they're the ones who win big. Because let's be honest, AI isn't slowing down. It's scaling like crazy. Every model, every dataset, every new app, all of it needs storage. And Filecoin is sitting right there, perfectly positioned, battle-tested, and finally evolving.
I know a lot of people will still doubt it. That's fine. They doubted NVIDIA too, before it became a trillion-dollar company because who needs GPUs for AI? They doubted Ethereum in 2016 because smart contracts sound complicated. History repeats, and right now Filecoin is quietly setting itself up as the data engine for decentralized AI. So here's my message to anyone watching. Don't just look at where the hype is, look at where it's going next. The infrastructure plays always win in the long game. And this one's got every ingredient. Real usage, big upgrade, massive demand curve, and the ultimate tailwind, artificial intelligence. Stick around because we're about to dive deeper into what Filecoin actually built that no one else could. And once you understand that tech side, you'll see why Phil plus AI isn't just a catchy thumbnail. It's a real equation for what could easily be one of the most explosive moves in the next bull cycle.
Man, this is where things start getting real. Everyone keeps saying Filecoin is storage, like that's some boring utility. But nah, dude, you have no idea what kind of monster tech sits under the hood here. Imagine if Amazon S3 went fully Web3, but instead of being owned by Jeff Bezos, it was owned by you, me, and every single node in the network. That's Filecoin. Cheaper, faster, decentralized, unstoppable. The internet storage engine, rebuilt from scratch for the next digital era. See, AI isn't just smart code. It's a beast that eats data for breakfast. Every model, every training set, every chatbot, all of it feeds on massive data sets. The problem is, the world's data systems were never built to handle this kind of scale. Google can't store it all. Amazon's charging through the roof. And centralized storage? That's a ticking time bomb waiting for a government order, a hack, or a single point of failure. That's why Filecoin quietly flipped the script. Instead of keeping data locked in big corporate servers, it spreads it across thousands of independent nodes around the world. Each one gets rewarded for keeping the network alive. The more you store, the more you earn. And the kicker? No one controls it. It's trustless, it's verifiable, it's transparent. That's Web3 storage, not rented space, but owned space. Now imagine that tech powering the AI industry. Think about it. AI models generate terabytes every single day. Training, retraining, versioning, backtesting, it's nonstop. That data has to live somewhere, and it can't just vanish if a company decides to shut down a server. Filecoin gives AI builders a place to dump, secure, and retrieve that data instantly, across borders, across time. It's not sexy like a meme coin, but it's the backbone that makes everything else possible. And here's where the emotional side kicks in, because if you've been around crypto long enough, you know how this story goes. The infrastructure players are always ignored until they become essential. People laughed at Chainlink. They ignored Ethereum before DeFi. Filecoin's in that same sleeping giant phase right now. The retail crowd's asleep, but the developers, the insiders, they're building. They already see what's coming. Let me paint a quick picture. Let's say you're building an AI startup in 2025. You've got your training model ready, you've got your data, but you don't want to pay Amazon $10,000 a month just to host your files. You go decentralized. You plug into Filecoin through IPFS, boom, instant scalability, global access, no censorship, no middlemen. You pay pennies instead of thousands, and your users can verify the data on-chain. That's game-changing. And that's not some future concept. That's happening right now. There are AI data marketplaces being built on top of Filecoin at IPFS as we speak. Imagine buying and selling AI training datasets peer-to-peer, fully verifiable, no leaks, no corporate gatekeeper. Filecoin is literally laying the tracks for that ecosystem. Now here's where things get even crazier. The way Filecoin validates and stores data is ridiculously advanced. It uses something called proof of spacetime, meaning it doesn't just store data, it proves over and over again that it's still being stored correctly. Think of it like blockchain receipts for your files. Every few minutes, every piece of data gets cryptographically verified. No fake claims, no downtime, no pretending. That's why AI companies love it, because you can't fake integrity when your entire training dataset depends on it. And the scalability? Unreal. Filecoin's network can already handle exabytes of data. That's billions of gigabytes, and it keeps growing. When you zoom out, it's basically turning into the decentralized version of AWS, but tokenized and community-owned. That's where the future is heading, and AI knows it. The thing is, the mainstream market doesn't see it yet. They're still chasing layer 2 hype while this monster network is silently expanding under their feet.
That's why this part matters, because this is the core tech that's going to explode once AI data truly goes decentralized. And when it does, you'll wish you were already holding FIL, not reading about it. Let me throw a quick stat at you. AI-generated data is projected to grow by 800% in the next 3 years. That's not speculation. That's from global data analytics reports. 800%. Where's all that data going to go? Cloud providers can't keep up. Decentralized networks will have to take the load. And who's the biggest, most established decentralized storage player out there? Filecoin. End of story. Now, don't get it twisted. This isn't me saying Filecoin's perfect. The tech had a rough few years, the price got wrecked, the hype died. But while retail abandoned it, the devs kept building. Filecoin 2.0 is now adding compute functions on top of data storage, which means it's evolving beyond just storing information. It's starting to process it. That's right. AI models will soon be able to compute directly on Filecoin's network. That's next-level stuff. You're basically watching the birth of decentralized cloud computing, the future backbone for AI data training. And if that doesn't make you pause for a second, think about this. What happens when a decentralized AI model needs decentralized memory, decentralized compute, and decentralized verification? You get a full Web3 AI stack. Filecoin becomes the base layer for that revolution. The more AI grows, the more Filecoin's demand skyrockets. That's a direct economic link between the two biggest narratives in tech. And I'm telling you, most investors don't see it yet. They're too focused on quick pumps to realize that infrastructure coins like FIL are where the long-term 100x plays actually come from. Every bull run, the same thing happens. The memes run first, the hype fades, and then the infrastructure projects, the ones with real utility, take off and never come back down. So yeah, this isn't hype, this is infrastructure. It's the part of the crypto world that doesn't screen for attention, but when the big money arrives, this is where it lands. Because the institutions don't care about hype coins. They care about networks that can actually support trillion-dollar industries. Filecoin is built for that. And here's where it gets wild. That 2.0 update I just mentioned, it doesn't just upgrade Filecoin. It changes the entire equation for how AI interacts with decentralized networks. We're talking smart contracts, data programmability, and native compute all rolled into one. The kind of update that turns a storage coin into a full-blown data infrastructure platform. And that's exactly where we're heading next, because what Filecoin 2.0 just introduced might be the most slept-on upgrade in the entire crypto market right now. It's the key that connects AI's hunger for data with crypto's power to store and process it.
Bro, this is the part nobody's paying attention to, and that's exactly why it's the most powerful. Filecoin just pulled off something so major with the 2.0 upgrade, and yet the market's still asleep on it. You know how every bull cycle has that one project that flips the entire narrative overnight? This might be that moment, because Filecoin just went from being a storage coin to becoming a full-blown intelligent data infrastructure. It's like they gave the network a brain, and now it can actually think. Let that sink in. For years, Filecoin was basically the hard drive of Web3, solid, useful, but boring to most people. Now, with 2.0, it's more like a full data computer that can store, process, and interact with information at the same time. You're not just saving files anymore. You're building smart contracts that can use those files, trigger actions, and connect directly to AI pipelines. That's next level. So what actually changed? First big upgrade, smart contracts are live. Yeah, that's right. Filecoin now supports on-chain logic through the FVM, the Filecoin virtual machine. Think of it like Ethereum's brain being plugged straight into the world's biggest decentralized storage network. That means developers can now automate, monetize, and program data on the same layer where it's stored. Imagine AI models that can automatically buy or rent storage space on Filecoin, all handled by code. No middlemen, no manual steps, just pure decentralized intelligence. Second, compute over data. This one's huge. It basically lets developers run computations directly where the data lives. No more dragging massive files across networks or paying huge fees to move data around. It's like processing power sitting right next to your storage vault. For AI, that's gold because those models eat massive data sets, and the faster you can feed them, the better they perform. Filecoin 2.0 makes that lightning fast.
And it's not just theory. Developers are already experimenting with it. I've seen tweets from core Filecoin engineers showing live compute benchmarks that destroy traditional cloud speeds. The dev community is hyped, but the retail side? Completely quiet. They have no clue this even happened. And that's usually where the 10x setups hide, when the tech gets real before the hype arrives. Now let's talk scalability, because this is where most storage coins die. They hit a limit. Filecoin didn't. The 2.0 upgrade rebuilt the protocol to scale horizontally, meaning every new node, every new data center plugged into the network increases its total capacity and efficiency. The more people use it, the faster and cheaper it gets. Try finding that in Web 2. That's how you beat Amazon and Google, not by competing head-on, but by outscaling them with a network that feeds on itself. This is the part where early believers win big. Because when the narrative finally flips, when people realize Filecoin is no longer just storage, but computation plus programmability plus scalability, it's game over for doubters. It's the same thing that happened when Ethereum moved from being a Bitcoin alternative to the world computer. Everyone who saw that early, they printed. Everyone who ignored it, they bought the top. History's rhyming again, just with a different ticker symbol. And bro, I'm telling you, when you read through the devlogs, you can literally feel the shift. The tone from the core team changed. They're not talking about storage deals anymore. They're talking about data markets, AI compute, smart agents, autonomous data. It's the language of the next phase of Web 3, and it's happening on Filecoin first. Now picture this. AI models training directly on Filecoin data without ever leaving the network. Imagine decentralized video rendering, machine learning pipelines, entire cloud applications, all running natively on Filecoin 2.0. That's not a dream, that's the roadmap. And once that infrastructure matures, there's no putting that genie back in the bottle. Here's what most people miss. Filecoin 2.0 isn't competing with storage coins anymore. It's competing with cloud providers. That's why it's dangerous to underestimate it. It's not fighting Arweave. It's going after Amazon Web Services. And when a Web 3 project starts replacing trillion-dollar Web 2 systems, you don't fade that. You accumulate. And I'm not the only one saying that. Look at the dev chatter on chain. Look at the GitHub commits. Look at the ecosystem expansion grants being pushed out right now. Filecoin's ecosystem is quietly filling with AI and compute projects that aren't even live yet, but are already securing fill for their infrastructure. That's early signal. The whales see that. Retail doesn't. And speaking of whales, we're going to get to that next because you'll notice something weird in the on-chain data. Accumulation is happening, but it's not loud. There's no hype spike, no influencer tweets, no viral threads, just silent stacking. That's how the smart money moves. Slow, steady, under the radar, because they know what's coming once the compute narrative explodes. And here's the emotional part. Most investors right now are sleeping through the biggest transformation of Filecoin's life. They're still stuck in the 2021 mindset. They think, oh yeah, Filecoin, the storage token that got wrecked. They don't realize that the tech they're ignoring is literally what AI companies are about to depend on. It's the same kind of disbelief we saw before every major breakout in crypto history. So if you're watching this and thinking, man, this may be overhyped, think again, because it's not hype when the tech is already being built. The noise comes after. This, right here, this moment, this is when conviction matters more than consensus, when you can see the tech shift before the price shift. And let's be honest, most people won't do the research. They won't read the Filecoin improvement proposals. They won't test the dev tools. They'll wait for headlines. But you're hearing about it before it hits mainstream feeds. That's your edge. Because the 2.0 upgrade didn't just make Filecoin faster, it made it smarter. It gave it a mind, a system that can store, think, and execute. That's the kind of innovation that turns an ignored altcoin into a core pillar of the next bull run. So, yeah, maybe right now nobody's talking about it, but that's exactly the point. The silence is the signal. The tech is already alive. The developers are building. The whales are watching. And when that awareness wave finally hits the market, man, it's going to hit like a freight train. Stay locked in because next up, we're going to break down exactly why those whales are stacking fill quietly. And trust me, it's not what you think. Bro,
Here's the thing most retail investors never get. Whales don't chase green candles. They build the damn chart. While everyone's screaming, is it too late to buy? They're already sitting in positions they opened months ago. And right now, the on-chain data for Filecoin is screaming one thing loud and clear. Whales are loading up. Quietly, patiently, strategically. And that silence? That's your early signal. These guys don't FOMO. They position. And if you've been around long enough, you know what that means. It's not hype. It's data. Wallet clusters are lighting up with accumulation patterns we haven't seen since the 2021 run. Large FIL addresses, the ones holding over 100K tokens, are increasing every week. And guess what? They're not moving to exchanges. They're parking that FIL long term. That's not trading behavior. That's conviction. Now here's where it gets real interesting. You look at the supply side and it's tightening. The token burn mechanism is alive and running, deleting FIL from circulation every single day. Pair that with Filecoin's collateral model, where miners lock up FIL to store data, and you've got a natural supply squeeze building in slow motion. It's not a meme burn, it's structural. Every storage deal literally removes FIL from the liquid market. So while retail is complaining about price not moving, whales are stacking while the float gets thinner and thinner. That's how supply shocks are born, not overnight, but block by block, deal by deal, burn by burn. It's quiet now, but when that liquidity crunch hits, prices don't walk up, they teleport. I was checking the latest on-chain dashboards, and no joke, you can see these massive clusters just accumulating and sitting, not trading, not splitting, just holding. You know what that means in whale language? They're expecting a big narrative shift and they're locking in before it goes mainstream. And that's the part retail never sees, because by the time you hear the headlines, Filecoin whales accumulating, it's already done. Those positions were built months before the news cycle caught on. That's the FOMO trap. You see the price spike, you jump in late, and you think you're early. But the real early move? It's happening right now. You ever notice how every cycle there's a silent season? That period when the chart's flat, everyone's bored, and social media is talking about something else? That's the accumulation window. That's where wealth transfers happen. Filecoin's in that zone right now, and you can feel it. Volume's low, sentiment's cold, but under the hood, wallets are eating supply. Here's the math that most people skip. Between burn, storage collateral, and staking, nearly 70% of circulating FIL isn't actually circulating. It's locked or off-market. That leaves a tiny fraction available for trading, and whales know that. They know when that liquidity vanishes, any real demand spike sends price vertical. It's the same playbook they ran on Solana before the last bull. Same setup, different ticker. Now here's where it gets real interesting. You look at the supply side and it's tightening. The token burn mechanism is alive and running, deleting FIL from circulation every single day. Pair that with Filecoin's collateral model, where miners lock up FIL to store data, and you've got a natural supply squeeze building in slow motion. It's not a meme burn, it's structural. Every storage deal literally removes FIL from the liquid market. So while retail is complaining about price not moving, whales are stacking while the float gets thinner and thinner. That's how supply shocks are born. Not overnight, but block by block, deal by deal, burn by burn. It's quiet now, but when that liquidity crunch hits, prices don't walk up, they teleport. I was checking the latest on-chain dashboards, and no joke, you can see these massive clusters just accumulating and sitting. Not trading, not splitting, just holding. You know what that means in whale language? They're expecting a big narrative shift and they're locking in before it goes mainstream. And that's the part retail never sees. Because by the time you hear the headlines, Filecoin whales accumulating, it's already done. Those positions were built months before the news cycle caught on. That's the FOMO trap. You see the price spike, you jump in late, and you think you're early. But the real early move, it's happening right now. You ever notice how every cycle there's a silent season? That period when the chart's flat, everyone's bored, and social media is talking about something else? That's the accumulation window. That's where wealth transfers happen. Filecoin's in that zone right now, and you can feel it. Volume's low, sentiment's cold, but under the hood, wallets are eating supply. Here's the math that most people skip. Between burn,
storage collateral, and staking, nearly 70% of circulating FIL isn't actually circulating. It's locked or off market. That leaves a tiny fraction available for trading, and whales know that. They know when that liquidity vanishes, any real demand spike sends price vertical. It's the same playbook they ran on Solana before the last bull. Same setup, different ticker. Now imagine this. Filecoin 2.0 is rolling out new compute features, AI projects start integrating, and suddenly, demand for data and storage doubles. But the available supply? It's already locked up. That's the setup for a melt-up, a literal squeeze where buyers are forced to chase higher prices because nobody's selling. And man, that's exactly why the smart money is moving now. They're not buying hype, they're buying time. They know by the time the AI narrative fully connects to Filecoin, FIL will be already 2x, maybe 3x. That's the nature of stealth accumulation. And here's what makes it emotional. Most people watching this will miss it, not because they're dumb, but because patience is hard. Whales play a different game. They're not looking for dopamine. They're looking for asymmetry. Small downside, massive upside. And with the 2.0 upgrade, the burn, and AI hype merging, that setup is right in front of us. You can actually trace the moves. Look at the wallets tied to old venture funds and early miners. They're not dumping, they're adding. Slowly, in slices, using OTC routes so it doesn't even reflect on exchanges right away. That's chess, not checkers. That's how you build size without waking the market. And every time retail thinks FIL's dead, they're the liquidity exit whales used to fill orders. Brutal truth, when you sell your frustration, they buy your future. Every dip you panic on becomes their discount. Let's talk psychology for a second. The reason supply shocks catch everyone off guard is because they don't feel bullish while they're forming. They feel boring. Dead volume, sideways action, slow news weeks, that's the disguise. But whales love boredom, because boredom is where conviction builds and weak hands disappear. That's when they step in quietly, slowly draining the pool before the tide comes in. And bro, I swear, if you zoom out, the charts literally tell you the story. You'll see whale clusters rising, exchange balances falling, and retail sentiment at rock bottom. That's the perfect contrarian setup. That's how bull runs start, in silence, not noise. Here's the FOMO truth bomb. When they move months before headlines. By the time CNBC or Twitter threads start hyping AI and Filecoin, those whales will already be unloading into the hype. You'll be buying their bags while they're securing profits. So if you think you're late right now, you're actually early. Because this accumulation phase, it's the foundation for the next narrative wave. And when that narrative hits, when Filecoin's role in decentralized AI storage becomes public knowledge, that's when the fireworks start. And that's where we're headed next. Because in the next part, we're diving into exactly how that AI connection goes from rumor to reality. And once you see it, you'll understand why these whales aren't gambling. They're positioning for something way bigger than just a price pump. Stay locked in, the data doesn't lie, and the silence right now, that's the loudest signal you'll ever get.
Bro, let's get real. What if I told you that some of the biggest AI companies on the planet are already using Filecoin, and they're not even talking about it publicly? Yeah, I'm serious. They're not bragging, they're building. Behind closed doors, under the radar, integrating decentralized storage like it's the missing piece to scale their AI models. And while everyone's busy chasing the next meme coin or some shiny new LLM token, Filecoin is sitting there like the quiet genius in the corner, running the backbone of it all. Because here's the truth no one likes to say out loud. AI eats data for breakfast. Every chatbot, every model, every image generator, they're all starving for one thing: massive, reliable, cheap, scalable data storage. And traditional cloud storage? It's cracking under the pressure. AWS, Google Cloud, Azure, they're expensive, centralized, and slow to scale for open AI models. But Filecoin, it's Web3's answer to that problem. Think of it like this. IPFS, which powers decentralized data storage across thousands of nodes, is basically the front door to Filecoin's house. And guess who's knocking? AI labs, researchers, startups, even decentralized compute projects that need to store massive training datasets without going bankrupt. You've got open-source AI teams quietly linking their datasets through IPFS because they can't rely on big tech clouds. And when those connections happen, every byte of data stored generates demand for Filecoin. It's not sexy to talk about storage until you realize that data is literally fuel for AI. No data, no model. No model, no product. And Filecoin sits right there, monetizing the one resource AI can't exist without. That's why I keep saying, this isn't a meme coin play. It's an infrastructure grab hiding in plain sight. Now, here's where it gets wild. The bridge between Filecoin and the AI world is already being built through protocols like compute over data. It's basically letting AI models run computations directly on stored data without moving it across centralized servers. That means lower costs, faster training, and zero dependence on one company controlling your pipeline. For AI developers, that's freedom. For Filecoin holders, that's future demand baked in. And bro, think about this. If AI's growth doubles again next year, the amount of data they'll need to store and process will be insane. Traditional storage won't keep up. Filecoin's decentralized model can. That's why small AI startups are quietly using it to handle their dataset backups, NFT metadata, model training data, and even synthetic datasets. It's like a silent migration from centralized cloud to decentralized storage, and it's happening right under our noses. Remember when cloud storage became the backbone of the 2010s tech boom? Amazon, Microsoft, Google, they printed billions off that. Now, Filecoin is doing the same thing, but decentralized. You can literally see the early version of the next trillion-dollar infrastructure forming. But here's the thing. There's no flashy marketing, no Elon tweet, just quiet adoption from projects that need real solutions. And if you dig deep enough, you'll find collaborations forming between decentralized compute projects like Akash, Render, and Filecoin, each one covering a different layer of the AI stack. Render handles GPU compute, Akash provides decentralized cloud, and Filecoin takes care of storage. It's like building the decentralized version of AWS, piece by piece. That's the kind of synergy that triggers entire market cycles. But the wildest part? Most retail investors don't even connect these dots yet. They're waiting for headlines. But by the time the press says AI is using Filecoin, FIL will already be 5x higher, because whales, devs, and insiders always see the pattern months before retail does. And it's not just startups. There are whispers, and yes, public commits on GitHub, showing AI data teams experimenting with Filecoin's data retrieval system for model training. Some decentralized AI projects are using IPFS to host open datasets for machine learning training. That's the bridge. That's the AI x Filecoin connection that nobody's talking about, but everybody's quietly building toward. Now, here's the FOMO part. Imagine when mainstream AI players realize they can store petabytes of data for a fraction of the cost they pay to Google Cloud, while also contributing to a decentralized network that rewards participants instead of megacorporations. That's when demand flips. That's when Filecoin goes from storage token to AI infrastructure token. And trust me, that rebrand alone can double its valuation overnight. The emotional part of this? You're watching the birth of a new foundation, not a hype cycle. It's the moment before the storm. It's the silence before the headlines. Every metric, from network deals to active nodes, is showing quiet growth. But the market hasn't priced in the AI effect yet. When it does, people will say, nobody saw it coming. But you did. You're hearing it right now. And here's the kicker. This next wave of AI projects will need decentralized data to stay compliant, censorship-resistant, and cost-efficient. Filecoin is already solving that problem while the rest of the world still thinks it's just a storage coin. It's not. It's infrastructure for the decentralized AI economy. And that's exactly where the smart money goes before the herd catches on. Now, here's the twist. Filecoin's demand curve doesn't just depend on price speculation anymore. It's now tied directly to utility. The more data AI consumes, the more Filecoin's storage market grows. That's the kind of long-term sustainability that even Bitcoin and Ethereum envy, because this isn't built on hype, it's built on necessity. And so when people laugh and say, Phil can't hit $100, I just smile, because that's what they said about ETH at 50. Real infrastructure takes time to be recognized, and when it finally clicks, it moves faster than anyone expects. And if you're wondering how far this can actually go, buckle up, because next we're diving straight into the numbers, the real projections, the market caps, and the upside potential once AI demand fully collides with Filecoin's limited supply. That's when this narrative goes from speculation to validation. Stay tuned, because what comes next isn't just about price. It's about understanding how big this AI and Filecoin revolution can actually get.
All right, let's stop dancing around it. Can Filecoin really hit $100? Everybody's got an opinion, but opinions don't move markets. Numbers do. So let's stop guessing and actually run the math. Because once you see how this lines up, you'll realize this isn't some moon boy fantasy. It's a slow, calculated setup, and we're already halfway there. Here's the bold truth. Filecoin doesn't need a miracle to touch $100. It just needs recognition, because the fundamentals, the tokenomics, and the market dynamics are already wired for it. Think about it. Right now, FIL sits under a $3 billion market cap. To hit $100, it needs roughly $45 billion. Sounds huge, right? But let's compare. NVIDIA adds that kind of value in a single week when AI hype peaks. So the question isn't, can Filecoin reach it? It's when does the market finally realize it's not just a storage coin, it's the data backbone of AI. Now, here's where it gets interesting. Each AI model, from OpenAI to mid-tier startups, needs petabytes of data. Not terabytes, petabytes. And that data has to live somewhere. Centralized storage costs are blowing up, even Google struggling with the data load. Filecoin solves that with a decentralized network that scales as more providers join. Every new node adds space, every new dataset creates demand, and every new AI project that plugs into this ecosystem pushes the economics tighter. Let's break it down. Filecoin's supply is capped at 2 billion FIL, but most of that isn't even in circulation yet, and the ones that are, a massive chunk is locked in storage deals, staking, or collateral. Combine that with the burn from network fees and storage contracts, and the liquid supply keeps shrinking while usage grows. That's a recipe for a supply squeeze, exactly what we saw before major rallies in Ethereum and Solana. Now imagine demand doubling because AI projects start storing model weights, datasets, and logs on-chain. That's exponential storage growth, and every byte equals FIL demand. Let's say even 0.5% of global AI data migrates to decentralized storage. You're talking billions of dollars flowing into the Filecoin network. That alone could justify a $50 to $100 billion valuation. But it's not just the numbers, it's the timing. We're at that moment in every tech curve where infrastructure gets repriced. In 2016, people said cloud computing is saturated. Then AWS tripled. In 2019, everyone said GPU mining is over. Then AI came and revived it. Now in 2025, they're saying storage tokens are dead. That's exactly when the smart money rotates in. Same playbook, different decade. And emotionally, this is the part that hits. It's not about hype. It's about inevitability. Because data is the new oil, and AI is the new industry burning through it. Filecoin is literally building the pipelines. You don't need to speculate on whether AI will grow. It already is. You just need to hold the infrastructure that powers it. And that's where conviction pays off. Let's talk burn rate for a second. The network is consistently burning FIL through transaction fees and storage deals. It's not flashy, but that constant reduction is like a slow drip of rocket fuel. Over time, it compounds.
Combine that with the locked collateral from miners, and you have a float that's getting thinner every quarter. Once mainstream demand collides with that thin supply, the move won't be gradual, it'll be explosive. And bro, here's where the psychology comes in. Everyone wants to wait until they see signs of a run. But by the time you see it, it's already gone. The $5, $10 zone is where conviction builds. $50 to $100 is where hype joins. The whales know this. They're not buying future headlines. They're buying discounted silence. Let's zoom out. Ethereum hit a $500 billion market cap at its peak because it powered DeFi and NFTs. Those were consumer-level trends. Filecoin powers data, the foundation of AI. That market's 10 times bigger. Even a small share of that flow gives FIL the same valuation trajectory. So yeah, a $45 to $50 billion market cap, that's conservative. And that's your $100 per FIL target, with math, not hope. The emotional trigger here is perspective. People underestimate what steady fundamentals do over time. Filecoin is building utility, not noise. Every month, new storage providers, new partnerships, new data sets, all compounding. When the narrative flips from speculative token to AI infrastructure, the re-rating will be brutal, the kind that makes people wish they'd just held. And here's what most people miss. Filecoin's community is evolving into an ecosystem. You've got developers building compute layers, marketplaces, even AI-powered retrieval tools. That's not a dying network. That's early-stage exponential growth. It's the same pattern you saw in Ethereum 2018-2020, right before DeFi exploded. Now, if we run a realistic projection, say the AI storage sector grows to $500 billion by 2030, and Filecoin captures even 5% of that, that's $25 billion worth of economic activity. With scarcity, burns, and locked supply, price per FIL easily stretches beyond $100. It's math meeting momentum. And for the skeptics saying, but we need mass adoption, guess what? Adoption's already here. It's just not loud yet. It's in the background integrations, in the GitHub commits, in the storage deal counts that keep ticking upward every single day. That's what silent revolutions look like. Boring to watch, incredible to own. So when you hear the noise, remember, real wealth gets built in the quiet. When nobody's watching, when people say, meh, it's just storage, that's when asymmetric bets pay the biggest. And Filecoin, it's not asking for hype. It's demanding attention through sheer utility. You can feel it. The AI narrative is warming up again. Every new LLM launch, every AI data leak, every model needing privacy and scale, they all point back to one question. Where does the data live? And the quiet answer, whispered across Web3 forums and dev calls, is Filecoin. So yeah, can FIL hit $100? I'll flip the question. How long until it has to? Because the infrastructure's ready, the demand is forming, and the math adds up. It's not about if, it's about when the world catches up. And when that moment hits, when the search volume spikes, when mainstream finance starts asking, what even is Filecoin? You'll already know. You'll have seen the accumulation, the burns, the AI integrations, the supply squeeze. You'll have understood the story before it made headlines. Because by the time they're Googling, what is Filecoin, you'll already know why FIL plus AI equals $100 soon.